for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure. As I was explaining to Jason a little earlier, I was looking for his bio and couldn't locate it after being gone this last week to a multifamily mastermind. So anyway, I thought it would be a perfect way. Who can tell your story better than yourself? So if you wouldn't mind, please share with us how you got into real estate.
Yeah, so back in 2015, I started off as a CPA. I discovered real estate when I was doing my client's taxes. I saw that he was making passive income through his rentals, and I said, this looks like a pretty interesting business. From there, I discovered Bigger Pockets in 2018. 2019, I started buying properties in Indianapolis, Indiana. They were all single-family homes. 2020, I decided that I want to scale and I want to get into multifamily, and that's when I started to work with my mentor Sterling White. For those that doesn't know Sterling White, he's always on Bigger Pockets. And then in 2021, I said that I'm going to burn all the boats, and I sold all my single family houses. I quit my accounting job, and here we are. Now we're focused in the Indianapolis and Kansas City markets. And also I am also um a co-organizer of a local meetup here in Los Angeles, California.
Wow, I am so impressed. This is crazy. So you're one of the few that actually burned the boats and went all in. Usually most of us have another, a partner, significant other that have a W-2 job that we can fall back on in case times get tough in real estate. But here you said, I'm going all in. So I'm curious, you did that back in 2021. You were doing single families in 2019. So was the passive income good for you with your single families when you first got started? Was it worth the trouble?
So yes and no. I would say yes, because single family is a good way for people to learn the fundamentals of real estate investing, and financially, I was able to pay for all of my trips going to seminars through my cash flow for my rentals, so that was nice. However, what I realized is that when you are in single family, and that most people who are in single family are doing the BRRRR method, which stands for buy, repair, rent, refinance, repeat. It takes about 7 months for you to get back your capital so that you can reinvest it into another property. And what I noticed was that that's taking up a lot of my time just for one door. So I said, I can be more efficient with my time and invest in bigger multi-family deals.
Wow. I love that you have specifically 7 months is how long it was taking you from the start to the finish to rehab and refinance your home, because that's been my experience as well. It always sounds like an easy slam. People, when you listen to them, people say, oh, it's so easy. You just go in there, rehab, and refinance. But the tricky part is refinancing right now, right? Now, I always caution people, if you're going to get into real estate, just know that between October and February 1st, the market always turns down. So even though everybody right now is like, oh, the market's, slowing down. Well, there's going to be a shortage for quite a while, right? We have not built enough homes since 2008 to keep up with the population increase. However, that being said, the market turning right now is not an indication of what's happening in the market. I think personally, the market is holding on very, very well in Kansas City. Surprisingly, for this, period in the market cycle, we're seeing a drop, but that's traditional. For the last 7 years, I've been rehabbing in the Kansas City market, and I've seen that market fluctuation. But I don't think we're seeing it as much as maybe you have been if you're in Los Angeles like you are, but you're not investing there. So I'm sure Indianapolis is probably very comparable to Kansas City. Would you agree?
Yes, and that's actually why I invest in both Indianapolis and Kansas City, is because they are both stable and also comparable market. Because if you look at the 3 previous recessions, both markets, if you're looking at job growth, was able to rebound quite nicely after each of the last 3 recessions. And if you look at the Great Recession back in 2009, most markets took about 10 years for it to recover its lost equity, but both Indianapolis and Kansas City only took 5 years to recover, and the cap rates only dropped by 1.5%, which is less than other markets, for example, Florida and Los Angeles and New York, where it tends to fluctuate way more.
Yeah, and Phoenix as well, right?
Yeah, Phoenix as well.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably contributed to a lot of people coming over into multifamily and wanting to invest here in the Kansas City market, to the point where I haven't been able to even find an asset of my own in multifamily here, which is a bit frustrating, right? When you live here and you can't invest in your own backyard. But, at least I have my single family homes, and I'm still holding on to ours, Jason, because my husband eventually wants to quit his job. And that's kind of like job security, is knowing that those homes are paid off. They will rent, or we'll get 100% cash flow on those assets. Mm-hmm. So are you happy with your decision that you went all in, or how are you feeling?
So sometimes it's definitely scary, but at the same time, I had no other choice. It's either I become successful or I continue to live a very mediocre, life. So I decided to go all in, and so far, I've been getting great feedback. I've been seeing a lot of growth in myself and my career. In the last year, I have overcame so many limiting beliefs. I've been collaborating with a lot of people. We've been submitting a lot of LOIs and offers on deals. So I would say that I am far from where I want to be, but at the same time, I am way further from where I started.
I love that you have a mindset that's helped you overcome some of your limiting beliefs. I think every single person that gets into real estate, that's one of the very first things everybody, if you hire a mentor or coach, they all talk about your mental space, that you've got to get your mindset right. And realize it's a long play. It's not just a sprint, but it's a marathon, right? And that every single thing, it requires you every single day making small little gains, right? That add up to a lot over the long term. And it's amazing when I look back, because I, like you, Jason, had a lot of mental hurdles to get over. And I look back and I think I was scared to death just to buy my very first home. I mean, I had sweaty hands and I was like, oh my gosh, what if I lose our family's money, But when you hire a coach and a mentor, it enables you to make some of those big decisions to continue to make those small steps and invest. So let me ask you, you're in accounting, and now here you are over in multifamily. That requires a team, right? And you said you've been really making some big strides. What do you feel like your superpower is?
My superpower is not just deal hunting, because we are going direct to owner and also talking to a lot of brokers. But I think on a higher level, I think that my true superpower is just putting the right pieces together to make a good team. And me knowing, who would be a good fit for the team and who would not be a good fit for the team. And that's how I'm able to connect with people like you who are way further along in your journey compared to mine. It's because I'm not scared to connect with people and ask questions.
I love that. That's a sign of a good leader, right? And something people always remind you of when you get into multifamily is every time you do a deal with somebody, you're married to them, right? So it's really important that you don't just jump in and do a deal for the sake of the deal, that you really develop a rapport with somebody, understand who they are, what their core values are. What do they anticipate? What is a dream deal for them? How would they run it? Just really try to set up some examples that, if the laundry room isn't being used, you just ignore it? Or how does, you talk through different examples to make sure you all are on the same page on how you would run that asset. And so I'm curious, I've met some of your team members and I think they're great individuals. Have you had to go through a lot of people to find your team members?
So yes, and we've had to let go of some team members as well. Just because they don't have the same core values as me, or our visions don't really mesh.
I think that's great that you figured that out. Hopefully you figured that out before doing a deal. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One of my biggest, influences is Grant Cardone, and something that he always preaches is fire fast, hire slow. So that's something that I like to incorporate in my business as well.
I like that. Hire fast, fire slow.
No.
No, I have it reversed.
Yes.
Okay. So hire slow, fire fast.
Correct.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's very wise. Now, I know that Robert Kiyosaki was recently talking with Tom Wheelwright and Ken McElroy about the fact that some people say, it's better to go slow, like you get your feet wet. And then you got Grant Cardone saying, no, go big at the very beginning. What are your thoughts?
That's interesting because I started off in single family, and single family was a great vehicle for me to learn the vehicle. I mean, for me to learn the fundamentals of real estate investing. And if somebody was getting started in real estate, I would suggest that they do the same thing as well. But while my colleagues were acquiring 10, 20, 40, 60 single family homes, I had no interest in doing that because I knew that I wanted to scale faster, and and I knew that single family was not the vehicle to really scale, and that's just learning from people who have done it before me. For example, I'll never forget Rod Khalif's story. When I met him in Charlotte, and then when I was talking to him, he was telling me that he owned a lot of single family homes during the Great Recession, and that he lost all those assets because he collateralized his single family and his multi family investments. And also Sterling Whiteman mentor, he had up to 150 single family homes in his portfolio before he exited out of all those and then transitioned into multi-family.
Wow. Well, I'm like you. I think, although I love the idea of go big in the very beginning, I think if you're going to play in this arena, you have to get some skills of your own. And it's hard to be on a team and add value if you've never done a deal at all.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you get on, so I'm on these weekly asset management calls where we're running our properties and overseeing the property management companies. And we talk about expenses all the time. And if I didn't have a personal investment already in single family homes and know the cost of materials, cost of labor, I could get taken advantage of really quickly as a property owner. Would you agree with that? Having that foundation is really, really important.
Yes, because like I remember when I was on single family, I would have constant back and forth with my property manager. I would ask them, why is it repaired so much? And why are you guys charging me for this instead of the tenant? And then what I realized is that you have to kind of get the experience first of knowing, like what are typical operational expenses in the real estate business, and then once you become more familiar with that, then you can start knowing what is usual and what is unusual expenses, so that therefore you are not being taken advantage of. For example, I remember on my last single family house, we had a repair needed for the property, and then that property manager was trying to charge me $8,000, and that did not sound accurate to me. So what I did was I went to another uh, contractor in my network, and we were able to cut down that expense to $5,000.
Wow.
That's the kind of experience that you need to have as you scale in this business.
Agree. Absolutely agree. So, Jason, is there something that you're working on right now or a goal you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, we are focused in the Indianapolis and the Kansas City markets. We are targeting properties that are 8 to 99 units, 1960 to about 2002, built in a B or C plus neighborhood. If you guys know anybody who's willing to sell their property, please let me know. And we'll definitely make sure that you are compensated as well.
That's awesome. I love it. Yes, thank you. Well, any last minute tips or books that you love that I didn't ask you, or any other questions that you wished I would have asked you that I haven't yet?
I would say that when you're in real estate entrepreneurship, there's so many ups and downs in this business. That's why I'm a firm believer. It's important to always write down your goals every single morning and every single night. And then also visualize yourself where you want to be in the future, so that when that self-doubt comes in, then you can remind yourself of your why and also where you want to be.
I love that. That's such a great reminder to all of us.
Yeah.
Yes, looking at something, a vision board, or writing those down, there's something about it, it triggers in your mind and it reminds you each and every day what you're working towards. And it's incredible how that actually comes to fruition, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest on today's podcast. And I know our listeners are going to gain value. One last question for you. If there was one book that you would recommend investors, read to get motivated or to, get more knowledge in real estate, is there anything you would recommend?
Yes. Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone.
Ooh, I love it. Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. I love it. Thank you. I haven't read that one, but I'm putting it down on my list and I'll be sure to read it by the time we talk again. So, yeah. So thank you so much for being on our podcast. And thank you, everyone. And we look forward to seeing you back here at our next podcast.
And thank you again, Jennifer, for having me.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure.